Hey, Franco Levy, I don't know who you are, man, but I gotta tell you, on this night, you blessed my life with the words that you said in your blog post. And though maybe you didn't have that intent when you were first writing about my YouTube channel and the blog posts that I've written, as you shared it with your own audience, but the timing of it is something that can only be supernaturally ordained for any one person's life, something that is intimate to only that person's life. And for whatever reason, I haven't been active with blogging and vlogging a lot, but this was just one of those days, one of those weeks, and I just, trying to keep myself busy, I went into the back end of my blog on my WordPress, and I saw your comment and it brought me to your site. And I got to tell you, the way that you laid it out and the insight that you gave, it was amazing, and I really appreciate how sincerely you looked into and you were able to extract what I see on this side. So I thank you very much for that. And it just reminded me of how many times in my own life, as I look back, that our plans are not God's plans. I look back and I realize all the planning and all the expectations that I had of doing A or B. There was another plan being engineered, and that is the plan that was meant for any person's life, for my life. And, you know, to say that there have been many times in the past few years that I've been running off fumes with regards to what am I doing this for now, is an understatement. It's been ups and downs. Recently there have been some downs, some downers. Nothing serious, but just those things that take the air out of your sail. And in reflecting on it tonight, as I read, shaking hands, my hands were stammering, and I just was reminded of the greatest analogy in my own life that was given to me maybe 12 or 13 years ago, back when I was living in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I went to a church in that area, and they were having, there was like not a small group, but a weekly, kind of like a men's meeting. And I hope this gets to the guy who was speaking that night, because the analogy that he gave was something that altered the trajectory of my own life eternally. And it taught me how do we hear God's voice? Because I'll tell you, for the past year and a half, I've been in the Word, and I've been reading it. Not devotionals, but the Word of God, the Bible. And yet these things were happening, and I've been having these ups and downs, and I have cried out many times, God, what is it that you want from me? What is the path that I should be taking? What is the signal that I should be looking for? I don't get it. But for one reason or another, and those reasons change, hey, I'm going to keep reading this Bible every day that I know that I'm supposed to do. It gives me a good boost for the day, or, oh, that verse was meant for me today, and something would always pull through, but I've stayed religiously involved in it, for lack of better words. But those times come when I speak to God as if I'm speaking to a person. And I got to tell you, tonight it struck me, and it brought me to this speaker. And the analogy that he gave is this, and you'll understand why it's poignant for me. The guy that was speaking was someone who used to live in the fast lane. He used to be a cigar dealer, and his name was James, of all names, right? The book of James, probably one of the greatest maps for a Christian life. And he told his own story about he and his brother, how they grew up together. And many brothers do this. They box together or they wrestle together, and they happen to be wrestlers. And his younger brother, I think it was, happened to be a better competitive wrestler than he was. And so as time went on, he kind of exited the competitive arena and supported his brother and helped. They would wrestle together, and he would give him tips all this time alone together, working with each other on how to become a champion and how to perfect his craft and how to support his brother to win. And he went on to say that it was amazing how when there would be a wrestling meet, a wrestling competition, and in the midst of the arena, 2, 3, 4 mats going at the same time, whistles blowing, teams screaming at each other, schools in each other's bleachers screaming for their own team to win. Through all that noise, through all the moments of, I'm losing, I'm going to lose this match, when he would say something and give advice during the competition through that noise, and he would say it, his brother would hear him. Regardless of what was going on around him, and if his brother was feeling high or low, losing, behind on points or not, he could hear his brother's voice through all the noise. And that is how you're able to hear God's voice in your life. If you're walking close with God, if you're just acting out of hope, if you're just following out of desperation or desire to seek God, you will hear his voice. And just much like a child will hear his mother's voice if he runs off in a shopping center, and when the mother's voice calls out, that child knows that voice because they are intimately together more than any two individuals are, just like this guy and his brother were in the realm of wrestling. And as a grappler myself, I said, wow, that is it. That is the essence of how God's voice reaches our ears and our hearts. If you're not walking with him, if you're not treating him as your ultimate eternal coach in life, you are not going to hear his commands. You are not going to get his signals to you while you are out fighting on that mat. And he uses many different venues, including blog posts. And so I wanted to share that because it's something that is a driving force in my own life on how we hear God's voice. And I've lost track of that. And hearing your encouragement tonight, sharing my story with others so accurately and capturing the essence of who I am and what the Red Dragon Diaries is, I got to tell you, thank you very much. You really blessed my life tonight with your words at a time that you wouldn't really be able to know unless you knew me. So I thank you for that. So Franco, Levy, whoever you are, God bless you.